Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your co-host on this special journey. We're talking about South Carolina Gamecocks football. You know what it is, the Garnet Roost with the main man, Brian Bosarge. How are we doing tonight?
Nino, we're doing great, man. Ready for got a fun win last week, and ready to see if we can shock the world this Saturday.
It will be a shock of the world for sure. It's nice to see you.
Yes,
This
yes.
episode, last episode, there was hotel Wi-Fi technical difficulties, but we still managed to get it done.
Yeah, no technical difficulties this week. Back at the home base here, and good to be back.
Again, for those who are just tuning in, episode 2, Garnet Roost, tell the people at home what this is all about.
It's the weekly. We're gonna every week we're gonna talk about South Carolina Gamecock football here on what we hope ends up being one of the better South Carolina podcasts, if not the best South Carolina podcast that you can possibly listen to over the week. We get quick and dirty with it, and it's all about it. I love the Gamecocks, and I love talking about them.
All right, and you heard it here. That's the story. We're gonna bring it to you every week, whether you like it or not, and we're shooting for the top. Let's kick this thing off with some rapid fire. Um, these questions, my man has no idea what they are. I do not let him know ahead of time, so that's why it's the rapid fire segment to start it off. Who is missed more right now in South Carolina, Jaheim Bell or Marshawn Lloyd?
Marshawn Lloyd.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, I mean, you
Yeah.
replace Bell with Knox and Simon from Western Kentucky. I'm not saying they're near the athlete that Jaheim Bell is, but there is no other running back that's near the talent of Marshawn Lloyd on this roster.
I agree with you 100%. Um, Boiled peanuts, yes or no?
Amazing, yes. This Nino, if you come down for the Senior Bowl this year, I'm going to personally hand you a bag of boiled peanuts so you can understand the greatness of this Southern delicacy. Like I said, it's a high sodium product, but if the old veins can take it, you'll be just fine. And there it's amazing. I love boiled peanuts.
I saw that it was a South Carolina like top dish. I had to bring it up. I know you would be the man to ask. So boiled peanuts is on the list at this year's Senior Bowl for me. Spencer Rattler needs to be blank for a Gamecocks W.
Upright.
Okay, I love it. I love. We're gonna leave it right at that. We're not even gonna break it down because I think we're gonna talk about it a little bit later. But here's the last rapid fire question: Keep, trade, cut. Beamer, Muschamp, Brad Scott.
Keep Beamer. Cut Brad Scott. Trade Will Muschamp.
All right. I like it. I had to throw something out there wild for you. I knew you weren't ready for that one. Wasn't something you were prepped for, but I had to ask. Keep you on
I
your
do
toes.
I do appreciate Brad Scott for being the first Gamecocks head coach to win a bowl game.
Yeah.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll give him credit for that, but the rest of it was not so good.
All right, we're gonna go with a version 2. Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier.
Oh, Spurrier all the way.
Okay. Well, I know Holtz is a legend. At Notre Dame. I know he came here. And did his thing for a little bit, but
Spurrier won 11 games 3 years in a row
yeah,
and finished that last season ranked fourth in the nation. It's got to be Spurrier.
the king. He's the king. All right. Let's talk about what we always bring this show start with: the good, the bad, and the ugly from the win over Furman. Give me the good.
The good is Xavier Leggett. There is no receiver in the Power Five right now that has more receiving yards than Xavier Leggett. 296 receiving yards through 2 games. He's becoming a true I don't want to say a number one wide receiver because I don't think that's what he'll be at the next level. But Leggett is showing he can go up and get the 50-50 ball. He's a good route runner. And I think he's got good speed and he's got good size. And what I love about him is he's also a stellar special teams player. He's their kick returner right now. He's one of their gunners on the punt team, and he's very good at it. I know this isn't going to, I'm trying to separate my draft mind from South Carolina mind here, but stuff like that is going to get Xavier Leggett drafted next year come April because of all that he can bring to a football team.
Yeah, what I'm reading everywhere and what I'm seeing is a lot of NFL scouts are now in on like it. Another thing I noticed on the good, I want to see what your take on it on a level of good or or best. Eddie Lewis, first game in, this year, seemed to do pretty well as usage. I think he had 6 for 89 on 7 targets. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he was a name that I had completely forgot he transferred to South Carolina, to be honest. And then I saw his name on the Senior Bowl watch list and the Shrine 1000. I had to look him up. I'm like, oh yeah, he transferred. He transferred in from Memphis. Um, he ended up being their punt returner Saturday night as well, and
Yes.
had targets. I don't think he got any targets against North Carolina
No.
in the first game, but when Amarian Brown got hurt um, against Furman early,
Yes.
Eddie Lewis basically took over that number 2 receiver role for South Carolina the other night, and because I think Juice Wells is probably still a little banged up,
Yes.
didn't play a whole. I don't know that he played at all or played very little against Furman the other night. He wasn't needed, to be honest. But it's good to see Eddie Lewis make those plays because they're going to need a team start keying on Leggett a little bit more, even though they won't be able to if Juice Wells is healthy. It'll be good to have that third option as a wide receiver.
I agree 100%, especially if I think they've been saving Juice his last 2 games. I mean, I know UNC the first game was a big game, but I think he had I want to say less than like 15 snaps in the second game against Furman. I think it was just to get the juices going, keep the rust off, but not to stress him out too much.
Everything I've read this week says that he's full go for Georgia.
Okay, let's go. You get that 3 wide going. Not all the guys who could spread the field. It could be a very good day for Spencer Rattler. Give me the bad.
They just got off to a slow start against Furman, and they were actually trailed at one point in the second quarter, 14-7. And you're like, and I've seen this story, I've read this book before,
Yes,
and I've seen them start out slow against these FCS teams before and end up struggling to get a win or outright lose, like they did to the Citadel a few years ago. They struggled against Wofford in the past, so I was like, here we go again. I even kind of tweeted that out Saturday night, but they ended up
yes.
starting to get the lead, and then they pulled away at the end. I think they ended up winning by 26 or 27 or so. So, but yeah, the slow start, they need to avoid that going forward. They need to come out guns blazing a little bit.
I want to say that the missed field goal on the first drive kind of put a little bit of an e-brake on what they were
Yeah.
starting to do. You drive down, open drive, and then you don't get any points.
First kick Mitch Jeter's missed at South Carolina, either extra point or field goal. That was the very first kick he's ever missed.
Well, all right. Well, not a good time to do it. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, let's talk about the ugly real quick.
More injuries, man. I mean, they continue to get more banged up. This time, as I mentioned earlier, is Amarian Brown. I think they had another injury or so on defense.
Yep.
So they're just getting bodied here in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And you haven't even hit the meat of the schedule yet. So that's not great. There's going to be some guys I don't think are going to make the travel roster this week. I saw like I don't think David Spalding, their corner is going to make the trip. Still to be decided on JT Gear. He hasn't played yet. He may be able to play this week, but they don't know. So,
any update on Nick, the safety? Is he playing? Is he still out this week?
I find it hard pressed to think he's going to play this week.
Okay.
I think he wants to play this week. I think South Carolina wants him to play this week. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think we're going to see more Jalen Kilgore again, which has been good in 2 games.
Yes.
But we'll see. But I hope Nick Inamori plays this week, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Okay, all right. I know he's a good piece on that secondary, so it'd be nice to have him. Obviously against the Bulldogs, but
has played 1 snap.
Yeah.
Got hurt on the first play of the game.
Crazy. All right, you talked about Kilgore, well, my guy. The youth movement is here for the Gamecocks, right? A while back, I sent you a DM saying, "Hey, this guy committed. I'm telling you, he's a dude." And you're like, "Well, pump the brakes. We'll talk about it when I can see something." Well, he showed you something. What are your thoughts on Lenora Sellers?
I saw a little bit of it in the spring game, and I think I tweeted at you, like, okay,
yeah,
he has my attention now. And then he comes in the game against Furman. They they pulled Spencer Rattler with a 20-point lead in the third
Mm-hmm.
quarter. Much to I was like, what are they doing? This game's not over. And the announcers that were calling the game for SEC Network were also questioning
Yeah.
this tactic of Shane Beamer. They put Luke Doty in for a series and they stall 3-and-out. And then the next series, they tried out Lenore Sellers. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And Sellers proceeds the very first play, I believe, makes a play with his feet,
Yep.
escapes the pocket, and then like 4 plays later, he's lobbing a 50-yard bomb down the field to another true freshman from Pennsylvania, I believe, Tyshawn Russell, caught that 50-yard pass. Sellers ends up throwing another touchdown pass to another freshman that I've had on the milk carton here for the last 2 weeks now. Nick Harbor, where is he? He ends up just out positioning a DB as he should at 6'5",
Yes.
240
Flexing.
for a 7-yard touchdown. And just, it was no doubt. But Sellers 4 for 4 for 86 and 2 touchdowns. I think he had another like 16 yards rushing on the ground. It was fun to see. And you could tell how much of an impact he's made on his teammates since arriving in January by the way they all just celebrated him after that touchdown. Spencer Rattler, just the first one to him, just like, and you could tell how much they love this kid. And he's going to make so much NIL money once he becomes the starting quarterback, probably next year, if I had to guess, just because of he's wearing the old rec specs like Kareem and Eric Dickerson out there. So that some kind of Oakley or somebody is going to get a hold of this kid, and he's going to make some good NIL money on that deal. But yeah, it was fun to see Lenore Sellers out there.
He's like the Wild Thing, right? You got Wild Thing, puts the glasses on, he comes out there, and it's just. But the kid's dealing, and he's locked in. You know, you can tell that. Like I said to you in the green room, 6 months ago, the kid was in high school, right? He was playing high school football. Now he's up there with the big guys, and he didn't even look phased. Right in their first play, had to get out of the pocket, did his thing, and then the ball was on the money, right out there, 50-yard bomb touchdown. I love it. Now on the defensive side, we talked about him. Kilgore is a guy I said was an absolute stud coming out of high school. Played a good amount. First week, 46 snaps this week. What are your thoughts on Kilgore?
Yeah, he played with the ones the entire time this week, and he's got a very good sense of the field. Yes. And that's all, and that's just not something you expect from an 18-year-old out there, playing major college football. So it's good to see, and it's good to know that you're going to be able to count on him going forward. If you want to rotate those guys, or if you want to play with 3 safeties when you have a full allotment of guys out there, that you can put him out there, or maybe he can play in the nickel. It's good to see. It's good to give your defense options, because that's what you need. As if you're matching up with some of these other teams, whenever Inamwari gets back, to be able to get him on the field.
Well, when Nick gets back, I can't say his last name. That is the reason why I don't attempt it. I have bad when it comes to the names like that. I find a nickname, or I just go with the first name and pass. But when Nick gets back, then you put him with Kilgore. You have, like you said, options. Kilgore could just play he played in the box a little bit in both games, right? He played in the slot as well. Like, he could play all over the field. That's what he did in high school, and he played offense as well. The kid was just crazy, and you can see the athleticism right off rip. He's cerebral. He's all over the field. You could just. He's got a little missed tackle rate. Like, he had the first game, he missed a couple tackles. The second game, he looked better. But I think he's a little hyped up. He's just flying around there trying to, get that time.
That's something I think that'll come with time and coaching.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know exactly where he's supposed to be yet. So that could lead to him being out of position and missing some tackles. I don't think he's going for a kill shot or anything like that as well. I think it's just coaching and mental and reps. I think that's all. Well,
speaking of reps, can we get Pup Howard more than 20 reps? Because in the limited time he was on the field, my man was eating.
Yeah, it's going to happen, I believe. As the more we go along in the season, I think you're going to see him play a lot more, especially if Stone Blanton doesn't cut back on his missed tackle rate there. He's missing a few, right? I mean, you've seen the PFF grades. I think he was like in the 50s or something this week.
Yeah,
So
25% missed tackle rate.
yeah, that's not a good deal.
No.
And I can tell you, defense coordinator Clayton White knows that too. And if that's going to keep up, I mean, you could see Pup Howard, taking some snaps away from Blanton a little bit going forward in that. Because I mean, South Carolina's only trotting out two linebackers in their base defense. They run
Right.
a base 4-2-5. So it's if Stone Blanton's gonna, and he's a young guy too. So I'm
Yes.
not trying to rail on him. He's a second year player, I believe. So he's got a lot of work to do, but you can tell the athleticism is there with Pup Howard, and it's good to see. So they're going to need him,
Well,
before the season's over with.
I mean, Slane had good first game. Second game wasn't so good. UNC played pretty good, I believe, in the first game, but the 4-2-5 just fits Kilgore's, like, that scheme, that defensive setup is perfect for him because he can play anywhere you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I always fall back to him because he's my guy for South Carolina. I was super gassed when he committed. I just think he's going to be a stud for them this year. Not a stud talk. Things that are on the downswing here. Let's talk about this run game and how it still stinks.
I mean, it was bad against North Carolina. What did they average? Like 0.4 yards a carry or something?
It
was abysmal. Well, against Furman, they managed to raise their average yards per carry up to a whopping 2.8.
On 11 ball carriers. 11 people.
11 people carried the ball. 39 carries in the game for 108 yards against Furman.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Now I will say this, Nino. I know you watched the game a little bit, but Furman's defense was out there. They played with nothing to lose. Them guys were just out there, just straight wrecking ball.
Oh yeah.
Heat-seeking missiles out. They if they missed a play, they didn't care.
No.
They were just trying to get the big hit. They were trying to let South Carolina know that they were there, but there's still no excuse for not being able to run the ball against an FCS team when you've got SEC offensive linemen on your roster and you can't lean on them, especially late in the game when you've got a 20-plus point lead and you can't grind those guys out with the backups in. I mean, come on. You've got to be picking up chunk yards in that situation. Yeah. So now their average is up to a whopping 1.5 yards per carry through 2 games.
Yeah, that's just disgusting. And you mentioned the line. I went and researched because I couldn't understand how. You got a guy that's 226. You got another guy that's 209 and Anderson. And then you got, the change of pace guy, McDowell. Gargilio, the left guard, had a 59 PFF grade on 32 snaps, right? Jakari Moore, right tackle, 66 PFF grade on 32 snaps. Fulga, 51.1 on 19 snaps. Babalade had a 52 grade. Bone had a 52 grade. Wanamaker had a 46.5. The only guy who was good, quote unquote, good in the green was Rashawn Lee at 74.4 and 32 snaps. Like, that's gross. And that's just on run blocking alone. I'm not even talking overall, like, offensive line play. Like, just run block. They got to get better fast.
Yeah, it's really fast. Like in the next 2 days, fast.
Yes,
and it's not good. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This scared me a lot coming into the season when they named DeCarrion Joyner a former quarterback and wide receiver as a running back. And I know you love Joyner, but he's not a true running back. No. Juju McDowell, like you said, is at best a change of pace running back.
Yeah.
Mario Anderson, to his credit, ran the ball well.
Yeah, 5 yards to carry.
Yeah, it was later in the game, so he actually did better. I would like to see him get more carries than say McDowell this week, just to see. It may not get any better. I don't know, but who was the freshman running back that came in and he had some good bursts. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Let me see. I might be able to check for you. Yeah, the thing is Anderson has a little size. He's 209, right? So, like, the banger, they're gonna need bangers against Georgia. Is it Deshae Braswell? Is that how you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, he's a speed back. Yeah. So, but that's why when you ask the rapid fire question, who do they miss more, Jaheim Bell or Marshawn Lloyd? It's not even close, man. Marshawn Lloyd is good. Like, really good. And I hated to see him go. I understand why, but I hated to see it.
Uh, so I was gonna touch on it, but we kind of wrapped it up. Joyner or Anderson, I think we kind of the consensus is like to see them both out there more running the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this game coming up against Georgia, #1 in the nation. Talk to me. What are your thoughts here? Give me some points and we'll battle it out.
All right. We know they're good, right?
Yes.
They're five and high 4-star players at every position on the two deep. Like they're loaded. Uh, but we haven't seen them play anybody yet.
No.
They were supposed to have played Oklahoma last week. But because Oklahoma's coming into the SEC office is like, hey, drop that,
Yeah.
add somebody else. So they added Ball State, who's nothing. They played UT Martin in the first game, who's nothing right now, and they've started slow in both games. Their average margin of victory right now is 47-5. So it's really hard to get a gauge on just how good they really are. We know how good they are, but there's a chance that Georgia may go through the season and play one top 25 team the entire regular season, and that's probably going to be Tennessee.
Yeah. Who?
Eh.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I got a feeling we're going to find out how good Georgia is this week. Either they're going to struggle, and we're going to find out that South Carolina is better than what I think they are, or Georgia's going to blow their doors off like they have the last two seasons.
Yeah, so the line is my main concern. But here's my question to you, and I mentioned it a little bit in the green room. Could Georgia just be kind of rusty through week 3? I mean, is it weak competition? It really didn't have to play up to it. So would this in reality be week 1 for them? And sometimes you see teams in week 1 just really don't have. This is the first time these guys are going to have to get up. Like we haven't seen Stackhouse, Molden, right? We haven't seen those guys, Dumas Johnson, have to really beat dogs. And if you look at their numbers, it's real. They're really not predominant right now. Is there a chance?
I guess we'll find out quickly because if they struggle out of the gate like they have the last week, I think there's going to be some rear end chewings on that sideline, and they'll come out in the second half and probably put the game away just on talent alone. I mean, I love South Carolina, but I'm not even going to sit here and try to tell you that their talent range is anywhere near Georgia's. It's not. I mean,
smart man.
It's just not. I'm not a home. I mean, I am a homer, but I'm not that much. I'm not that much in the bag, you know.
Right.
We haven't really seen Brock Bowers turn loose yet either in the first 2 games. They haven't had to. I was telling me and Shane were talking about last night on the Draft Countdown podcast that when Brock Bowers comes out for the draft this year and his highlight package at the draft in 2024. I got a feeling at least 3 of the 4 plays are going to be from last year's South Carolina game because it was just utter domination for him in that game with his showing off the catches and everything. So I got a feeling they're going to try to key on him and try to maybe limit him as much as they can. I don't know that they will be able to with their personnel in place, especially without if Emmanuel can't play. I think that kind of definitely limits some of the coverage. I wonder if they will do something different and let Marcellus Dial come inside and shadow Brock Bowers, thinking that Georgia maybe doesn't have a top number 1 receiver they have to worry about. I think that might be foolish, but
Dominic, love it.
That's what I'm saying. But I wonder if they might at least try that for a little while and see what happens. Because I know they do like O'Donnell Fortune as the other corner, and I think he's developing well in his 3rd year. South Carolina does do a great job of developing corners. I will give them that. And if Marcellus Dial, not Marcellus Dial, the other guy who's out injured right now is able to put David Spalding. If David Spalding's able to play, that helps out that thought process a little bit more because then you'll have 3 corners capable of lining up on the field at one time.
Is there a chance that we see either Kilgore or Pup kind of shadow Brock Bowers? As Pup's got the size to match with him and some of the speed.
That may be the case, but do you really want to trust a freshman linebacker
No,
to try
but
to cover Brock Bowers in space? I think that's a fool's errand. Kilgore is another one that I think, yes, athleticism wise, I think
yes,
he could do the job. But again, you're asking a guy who's played what
70
60
snaps.
college,
Yeah,
70
yeah,
snaps
yeah,
in
yeah.
college to try to cover the best tight end in the nation. I don't know if that's where they would go.
I agree. It was an option I was throwing out there. But the thing is, he did not. I know that the competition hasn't been the best, but he did not look good last week against Ball State. He had a drop, right? He had overall like grade. I think it was like 46.5. Brock Bowers in the red is odd, right? I mean, his pass blocking is always going to be good, but he just kind of didn't look like them saying like Georgia. I know the teams we talked about, but they didn't really. They haven't looked like a well-oiled machine yet. I know the points are up there, but they're normally putting up 70 and 80, against teams like this last year with Stetson, that they were putting up 70 and 80. So it's like uh, that's why I have a sliver. I think that there's a chance that they could. I know they've only allowed 10 total points, but they've only got 25 total pressures all season on
Yeah,
the defensive side.
you're right about that because the pass rush isn't there. They have one sack in 2 games. They're not getting to the quarterback. But I again wonder how much of a vanilla defense
Yeah.
have they thrown out there in the first 2 weeks? Because what do you really have to do to stop UT Martin if you're Georgia? You're just sending
Show
your
up.
guy. Yeah, just show up. You're sending your guys out
Yeah.
there and they're going to make plays.
Yeah.
Same thing against Ball State to a
Certain degree.
lesser extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ball State's better than UT Martin,
Yeah.
but by how about what maybe?
Yeah.
Like how much would you put Ball State as a favorite against UT Martin? Maybe 14.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So
14,
I mean
12,
they're not
man.
that, but Georgia does have 4 interceptions in the first 2 games, so their DBs are have been out there playing.
Malachi Stocks is a dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So to me, the key for South Carolina to say, I'm not going to say to win this game, but the key for South Carolina to stay in this game, to me, it comes down to Spencer Rattler. He has been a completely changed man these first 2 weeks. I'm in shock and awe of him making no mistakes through 2 games. He has literally forced no passes. He's taken what the defense has given him and used his superior arm talent to get the ball, but not try to force the ball.
Right.
And he's been accurate. He's 83% through 2 games completing the ball. He completed 90+%. He was like 25 of 27 against Furman the other night. So he's completed 83% on the year. That's unheard of for Spencer Rattler in his career. So for them to stay in this game, he's got to stay sharp and just continue to take what the defense gives him. And you said the key was, and I said, stay upright. South Carolina's offensive line has got to block long enough for him to be able to see the field. If Rattler can see the field, I think they can make enough plays to keep the game close for a little while.
I got a question for you, and depending on the answer to this could be a spicy hot take short for YouTube. Is Spencer Rattler QB3 right now?
No, but
Ooh!
I did say last night that I think that Spencer Rattler will be one of the 6 quarterbacks in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I do think he'll be here because NFL teams want to see him here, no doubt about it. Especially if his accuracy stays anywhere close to where it's at right now and he doesn't make the mistakes. Just on arm talent alone and athletic ability, I think Rattler is going to be one of the 6 quarterbacks in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Is he quarterback 3 right now? No, I don't think he's in the top 5 quarterbacks behind Williams and Drake May. And I think I would have Riley Leonard ahead of him right now. I would have your boy ahead of him right now. That's a tough one for me to say, by the way. I want you to know that
I appreciate
that cuts me deep. But I think Bo Nix is ahead of him right now. And there's a few others I would put ahead of him right now.
Sanders?
That's fair right now. Just on the 2 games.
Okay.
I think we've yet to. I want to see Shadur Sanders after they play Oregon and Southern Cal in 2 weeks. Colorado as a whole, I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
But I also like Tyler. I think Tyler Van Dyke has reasserted himself back into the conversation. I think the conversation of whether Josh Gaddis is terrible or not has been answered.
100%. Yeah.
We have answered that question just in 2 games of Tyler Van Dyke. So, but to bring it back to South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, I think here's a chance he could finish the year as a top 5 draftable quarterback.
Love it. I absolutely love it. I'm with you. So let's wrap this up. Give me your score prediction in this game. I think I'm going to surprise you, but give me your prediction.
Like I said, I think there's a chance South Carolina can keep it close early. But to me, Georgia's talent and everything pulls away late. I think South Carolina covers the 28-point spread. I think Georgia wins 38-17.
All right, 38-17. You got them in the 30s. I'm with. Like I said, I don't know if they're bluffing here with these 2 games and this defense. I do know they have a young guy in Beck who's looked pretty good, but it hasn't been against competition at the level of South Carolina. I think if South Carolina can jump out early, it might put Georgia's game plan into a little bit of what do we got here? I'm going to go 31-27 Georgia. And I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think going down the stretch. I think Georgia's going to score one in, mid to the late 4th quarter, but it's going to put them ahead. But I think this is going to be a slobber knocker, to be honest with you. Battle it out.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure my heart could take that game being that close late in the 4th quarter like that. Not sure I can handle that.
Well, we'll have to see. I actually hope it does. I hope, if they pull it through, watch out, because episode 3 is going to be a party if they take down the Bulldogs for sure. Brian, this was great to have you. Great to see you for this episode. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else you want to tell, the Gamecocks out there?
Let's just hope we're close.
Just keep it close and we're happy. As a co-host, I'm Nino Brown. That's at Deep Fried Draft. That's Brian Bosarge. The CFB Nation. This is the Garnet Roost, episode 2. We're out.